What if I told you your life doesn't need a year to change? It doesn't need a perfect plan, a new city, or a miracle. Sometimes all it needs is 7 days of conscious decisions, 7 days of seeing yourself differently, 7 days of showing up differently. Stay with me until the end, because the final lessons are where most people wake up and where your entire perspective could shift. The first truth I want to share with you is simple to hear but incredibly powerful to live. The moment you take radical responsibility for your life, everything begins to change. And I know that word, responsibility, can feel heavy at first, because most of us have spent years believing that our circumstances, our past, our environment, or the people around us are the reason we are where we are. Maybe you have said it too. If I had more opportunities, if my family supported me more, if the world were fairer, if someone had just believed in me earlier. And listen, these feelings are real. Life can be complicated, unfair, even painful. But here is the deeper truth that changed the direction of my own life. As long as your power lies in someone else's hands, your future will always feel limited. Imagine your life like a car on a long road. Every time you blame someone else for where you are, you quietly step out of the driver's seat and hand the steering wheel to the world. Suddenly the road feels chaotic, unpredictable, out of control. But the moment you say, no matter what has happened, I am responsible for where I go next, you sit back in that seat, grip the wheel, and realize something extraordinary. You are always capable of steering your own direction. Responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything that has ever gone wrong. It's about recognizing the incredible freedom you gain when you stop waiting for permission to grow. I remember moments in my own journey when doors didn't open the way I hoped they would. There were rejections, doubts, rooms where I felt invisible, and times when people questioned whether I belonged there at all. In those moments, it would have been easy to believe the world was simply against me. But I learned something quietly powerful. Every challenge was asking me a question. Are you willing to take ownership of your path, even when it's difficult? And every time I answered yes, something inside me grew stronger. Think of responsibility like sunlight touching a seed buried deep underground. That seed doesn't blame the darkness for being buried. It simply pushes upward, slowly, patiently, trusting that growth is its nature. The soil might be heavy, the path might be hard, but the seed still rises because it understands something fundamental. The only direction worth moving is forward. When you accept responsibility for your life, you stop arguing with reality and start shaping it. You stop wasting energy on excuses and start investing that energy into solutions. You begin asking different questions. Not why is this happening to me, but what can I learn from this? Not who is holding me back, but what can I do today that my future self will thank me for? And when those questions change, your entire life begins to shift in ways that are almost magical. Suddenly, you notice opportunities you never saw before. You make braver decisions. You speak up more confidently. You take steps, even small ones, that move you closer to the person you want to become. And here's the beautiful irony. The moment you stop blaming the world is often the exact moment the world starts opening doors for you. Because responsibility is magnetic. It attracts growth, discipline, clarity, and respect. But stay with me here, because this is only the beginning of the journey. The lessons ahead are even more powerful. And if you leave before the final points, you might miss the exact insight that could transform the way you live your life. In the next lesson, we're going to uncover something that quietly shapes every decision you make, every opportunity you attract, and every relationship you build. Something so powerful that once you see it clearly, you'll never look at your daily life the same way again. So keep listening, because what comes next might just be the shift you didn't know you were waiting for. There is another truth that quietly shapes the direction of your life every single day, and most people don't even realize it. Your energy determines your experience of the world. Think about it for a moment. Two people can walk into the exact same room, face the exact same situation, and yet one walks away inspired while the other walks away exhausted. The difference isn't always the circumstance. It's the energy they carry and the energy they allow into their space. Your energy is like an invisible currency. Every conversation, every thought, every environment either deposits strength into your spirit or slowly withdraws from it. And if you're not conscious about it, you can spend your entire life feeling drained without ever understanding why. I've learned this lesson in moments when life looked successful from the outside but felt overwhelming on the inside. You can be surrounded by noise, expectations, opinions, and constant activity, yet still feel like something inside you is fading. That's usually a sign that your energy is being scattered in too many directions. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every person you interact with, every thought you repeat, every piece of content you consume is like a seed being planted in that soil. Some seeds grow into confidence, creativity, and peace. Others grow into doubt, comparison, and negativity. The problem is that many of us allow anyone and anything to plant seeds in our garden without asking whether those seeds deserve to grow there. We listen to voices that question our potential. We spend hours absorbing news, criticism, and opinions that have nothing to do with our purpose. We stay in environments where our spirit feels smaller instead of stronger. And slowly, without noticing, our energy becomes heavy. But the moment you become aware of this, something powerful happens. You realize you have a choice about what you allow into your life. Protecting your energy doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world or becoming distant from people. It means becoming intentional about what deserves your attention. It means learning that not every argument deserves your reaction. Not every criticism deserves your belief. And not every relationship deserves unlimited access to your heart. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is create healthy distance from the noise that keeps you from hearing your own inner voice. I remember meeting people in different parts of the world who had very little by society's standards, yet their presence felt calm, joyful, and grounded. Their energy wasn't heavy because they were careful about what they carried inside them. They focused on gratitude, purpose, and connection rather than constant comparison. And that made me realize something profound. The quality of your life often reflects the quality of the energy you protect. Think about how sunlight works. The sun shines on everything, but when that light is focused through a small lens, it becomes powerful enough to ignite fire. Your energy works the same way. When it is scattered across distractions, negativity, and endless reactions to what others think, it becomes weak and exhausting. But when you protect it, focus it, and align it with what truly matters to you, it becomes a force that can transform your life. Suddenly your thoughts feel clearer. Your decisions become stronger. Your confidence grows because you are no longer leaking energy into things that don't deserve it. And people can feel that shift. Energy is contagious. When you walk into a room with calm strength and clarity, others feel it even before you speak. But here is something important to remember as you reflect on this. Protecting your energy is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice. Every morning you are quietly deciding what kind of thoughts you will nurture, what kind of conversations you will entertain, and what kind of environments you will allow to influence you. Those small choices repeated day after day, shape the emotional climate of your life. And if this realization is beginning to resonate with you, stay with me, because the lessons ahead become even more powerful. In fact, what we are about to explore next is something that can multiply the strength of your energy in ways most people overlook. Many people never discover this, and that's exactly why they remain stuck in cycles of motivation and burnout. So don't skip ahead and don't leave yet, because the next insight might reveal the exact shift that helps you turn your protected energy into unstoppable momentum. And trust me, by the time we reach the final lessons, you'll understand why missing them would be a mistake you truly regret. There is a powerful misconception that many of us grow up believing that discipline is a kind of punishment, a rigid cage that steals joy from life. But the truth, the kind you discover only through experience, is exactly the opposite. Discipline is one of the purest forms of self-respect you can practice. It is the quiet promise you make to yourself that your dreams deserve more than just excitement. They deserve commitment. Think about it this way. Inspiration is like a spark, bright and thrilling, but fleeting, while discipline is the steady flame that keeps the fire alive long after the spark fades. Anyone can feel motivated for a day or two, especially when the vision of success is fresh and exciting. But discipline is what carries you through the ordinary mornings, when the alarm rings and your mind whispers, "Just 5 more minutes." Discipline is what nudges you forward when no one is applauding, when progress feels invisible, when the world around you seems to be moving faster than you are. I remember speaking to young people who believed success arrived suddenly, as if life simply decided one day to reward them. But what they didn't see behind the scenes was the long series of small, almost boring decisions that built the foundation for every meaningful achievement. Waking up earlier than comfort suggests, practicing when the mind would rather scroll endlessly through distractions, choosing growth in moments when convenience feels so much easier. These choices may look insignificant in the moment, but over time, they become something extraordinary. Imagine building a bridge across a wide river. No single plank completes the bridge. It is the patient placement of one plank after another that eventually allows you to cross. Discipline works exactly like that. Every day, you place another plank, another hour of focused work, another commitment honored, another promise kept to yourself, and eventually you realize you have built a path across what once felt impossible. The beautiful part is that discipline doesn't just build results in the outside world, it transforms the way you see yourself on the inside. When you begin to show up consistently for your goals, even in small ways, you start developing a deep, unshakable trust in your own character. You begin to believe in yourself, not because of motivational words or external validation, but because you have proof that when things get difficult, you still show up. Proof that when distractions appear, you still choose what matters. Proof that you are capable of doing the hard things that shape a meaningful life. And that kind of self-trust becomes a powerful force. It changes the way you walk into rooms, the way you speak about your dreams, the way you approach challenges. Discipline, in that sense, becomes freedom. Freedom from the chaos of procrastination. Freedom from the guilt of unfinished intentions. Freedom from the quiet voice inside that says, you could have done more. Instead, discipline allows you to live with clarity, because every day you are honoring the version of yourself you want to become. It's similar to the way a musician practices scales for hours before stepping onto a stage. The audience only sees the performance, the confidence, the effortless beauty of the music. But what truly created that moment was the invisible discipline practiced long before anyone was watching. Life works the same way. The moments when your opportunity arrives, when the spotlight turns toward you, are supported by the quiet habits you practiced in the shadows. And if you're listening carefully right now, you may realize something important. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about returning to your path again and again, even when you stumble, even when yesterday didn't go the way you hoped. What matters is the willingness to continue. Because every time you recommit to your growth, you strengthen a muscle inside your character that very few people ever develop. And trust me, the lessons ahead build on this foundation in ways that can reshape the way you see your life entirely. If this idea about discipline is already shifting your perspective, stay with me, because what comes next reveals a deeper force that transforms effort into joy and struggle into joy and struggle into meaning. Many people miss this step, and that's exactly why their discipline eventually turns into exhaustion instead of fulfillment. But if you keep listening and stay until the final points, you'll discover insights that connect all of these lessons together in a way that can truly change the direction of your life. There is a quiet power that can completely reshape the way you experience your life. And it's something so simple that many people overlook it every single day. Gratitude. Not the kind of gratitude we casually mention once in a while, but a deep conscious appreciation for the life that is already unfolding around you. You see, most of us grow up believing happiness will arrive when something outside of us finally changes. When we get the promotion, when the right relationship appears, when the bank account grows, when the world finally recognizes our efforts. We tell ourselves, I'll be grateful when things get better, but the extraordinary truth is that life often works in the opposite direction. Things begin to get better when we learn to be grateful first. Gratitude is like adjusting the lens through which you see your world. Imagine two peoples standing on the same hill at sunrise. One is busy complaining about the cold wind, the early hour, the discomfort of waking up so soon. The other person pauses, takes a breath, and notices the colors stretching across the sky, the quiet beauty of the morning, the miracle of simply being alive to witness it. The sunrise is the same, but their experiences are completely different because their awareness is different. Gratitude trains your mind to recognize abundance where it once saw lack. It teaches your heart to appreciate the small miracles we usually rush past. The warmth of sunlight through a window, the kindness in a stranger's smile, the strength in your own breath as you begin another day. I remember traveling to places where people lived with very little in terms of material wealth, yet their laughter felt fuller, their presence calmer, their sense of community stronger than anything I had seen in more comfortable environments. It made me realize something deeply humbling. Fulfillment is not built on how much we possess, but on how deeply we appreciate what we already have. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain or pretending life is always easy. There will always be moments of uncertainty, disappointment, and challenge. But gratitude gives you the emotional balance to hold both realities at the same time, to acknowledge difficulty while still recognizing the beauty that continues to exist alongside it. Think of gratitude like sunlight touching the soil of your mind. Whatever grows in that soil will grow stronger depending on what kind of light it receives. When your attention is constantly focused on what's missing, the mind begins producing more frustration, more comparison, more dissatisfaction. But when gratitude becomes part of your daily awareness, it begins nurturing patience, optimism, and resilience. Suddenly your energy shifts. Your conversations become lighter. Your creativity flows more freely because your mind is no longer trapped in scarcity. Even opportunities seem to appear differently because when you appreciate what you already have, you move through life with a confidence and openness that attracts new possibilities. A simple practice can begin this transformation. At the end of each day, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what are 3 things that quietly made today meaningful? They don't have to be extraordinary. Maybe it was a conversation that made you smile, a lesson you learned from a challenge, or the simple fact that you kept going even when the day was difficult. These reflections slowly retrain your mind to recognize the richness that already surrounds you. And over time, you begin to realize that gratitude doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how you live. Decisions become clearer because you are no longer acting from desperation or comparison. Relationships deepen because appreciation replaces expectation. Even your ambitions become healthier, driven by purpose rather than emptiness. But stay with me, because while gratitude is powerful, it is only one piece of a much deeper transformation. The lessons ahead become even more profound, and the next one touches something that holds many people back from the life they truly want to live. If you've ever felt the quiet voice of doubt, whispering that your dreams might be too big, or that the risks might be too great, the next insight is going to speak directly to that fear. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the final points, because each lesson builds toward a realization that could completely change the way you approach your future, and missing it would be something you might genuinely regret.